Do you know you could have an extra $300,000 a year if you had your own real estate agency brand? What? Let's talk real estate branding. All right, let's talk real estate branding, and specifically 3 reasons why owning your own real estate agency brand today can be a brilliant idea for tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. And so let's set the scene. You've been an agent for well over 10 years now. You've got a great handle on your market, you can rock and roll a sale, and you can manage a property. And you've probably made a bit of a name for yourself in your community. Big tick. But I'm guessing you might be a franchisee owner of one of the big real estate agency brands, either in your country or here in Australia, as there are over 6,800 franchisee owners, which is about 1/3, a bit over 1/3 actually, of the total real estate agency business owners in this country alone. So I'm curious, what is keeping you on as a franchisee? I get that connecting and engaging with other franchisee owners in that brand is a big plus. You can compete with them and help drive your sales. Healthy competition is great amongst your peers. I get that. Or it's that swanky yearly awards night amongst all the franchisee owners. And don't get me wrong, putting that award and accolade on your wall or on your shelf for that hard-earned work that year, awesome. And even the training or market strategies and insights and support can be helpful if you get it. But I think the big thing for most franchisee owners of real estate agency brands is that recognition. That clout that a brand, an established brand, has in the market that people know and potentially like and trust. But after 10 years, is that still entirely worth it? Especially if you're forking out a decent percentage of all your commissions to the corporate office. And when you still have to cover your shop fees, your local marketing and signage, because let's face it, the mass marketing that corporate office might do is building their brand, not so much yours directly. Now, in the mail a few weeks ago, I got this dropped in, and a lot of the local real estate agents do this, but this one in particular, which I'm not going to show you, it's blurred out, so you don't need to know who it is, but it is a franchise. It had a tremendous amount of sales data in it, and these guys sold a tremendous amount of homes. In the last financial year was 235 homes, which for them was a 46% increase. Much higher than their previous 14 to 15% increase. So great numbers, yeah? But when I looked at the average sale price of these homes that they'd sold, multiplied by the 235 homes they'd sold, subtracted the average 2% commission rate on a sale, which is the standard average here in Sydney for a real estate agent, we're left with a bit over $3.2 million in commissions. Great numbers again, but if an average of 9.5% is the commission rate that they need to give over to corporate office, that's over $300,000 walking out the door for that year. And potentially each and every year thereafter, if their growth rate does grow that tremendous amount, that 10%, 15%, maybe the 46% again, knowing the housing market here in Sydney is crazy. But this leaves me scratching my head. Why? That's $300,000 a year. Maybe more, maybe less. It's money you're paying to build someone else's brand. Not to mention a faceless brand that relies on your face, your personality, your relationships with your customers to be the face of their brand. I kind of feel like they should be paying you, quite honestly. So if you're scratching your head too, and I'm making those cogs turn I want to leave you with 3 reasons why starting your own real estate agency brand is a brilliant idea today. All right, so number 1, you probably have a brand already. If you are already establishing your own personal brand as a thought leader or as a community leader, maybe you're at a business chamber of commerce or you're sponsoring the local sporting team and you're getting out in the community, showing your face, putting yourself out there, I shit you not that creating your own agency brand will be a walk in the park. Granted, setting up the business side of things is going to be a little bit tricky to get those bits and pieces all together, but from that brand aspect of things, you no doubt have a personal brand that you can build your agency brand on top of. It's those foundations that you've been building over the years as an agency owner. It could be named after you or something that is significant to you or to your area. It can have your distinct colors, tone of voice, and marketing style that you know that your consumers, your buyers and your sellers and your renters will appreciate. And it can be just as professional as those other real estate agency franchises so that your customers can trust you just as much as those ones that they see on TV and in every freaking second suburb cookie cutter, you know the deal. Because establishing your own brand rather than fitting into the shoes of someone else's is going to feel way more natural for you as that business owner, as that brand custodian. And on the flip side, sure, a dip in consumer sentiment might take that little bit of time to gain that salience so that you are the go-to real estate agent in your market, but it only takes 7 points of connection for new consumers to recognize, know, like, and trust your brand. So if you're on a billboard, on a bus, on a local notice board, you show up on social media in localized ads to your area. Your letter drops have your face, name, colors, brand, logo. You sponsor the local soccer teams with signs and banners on the sidelines. And then you've got your shopfront signage, your property billboards, the for sale signs, and your end of street pickets. All of these touch points within 6 to 12 months will generate the same amount of brand awareness that you would be doing with an established brand. To develop that same level of awareness and clout, especially if the same name and faces of you and your team are attached to this new brand of yours. And this is the best part. All of that doesn't cost you $300,000 a year because you do your branding once with someone like me for 1/10 of that $300,000. And that's there to last you 5, 10, 20 years, maybe even more. Then for your shop fit out and then signage, maybe $100,000 every 5 years, just so you refresh things and everything doesn't look outdated or faded. And then for your marketing, you might spend $50,000 per year or maybe $100,000 if you're really ambitious. Look, maybe even more. And if you subtract all of that from that $300,000, you are still in the black $100,000. And that's just the first year. Which brings me to number 2, which is your team. That leftover $100,000 and the maybe $300,000 each year after that, if things go well, what could that be put towards? I'll let you ponder that one. Because what I think you could do is you could invest it into your team, to grow your team, to bring on new staff, and even to raise that base salary for your team to attract great agents to be part of your brand. Because you know what that's going to do. You're going to sell more homes. If you've got more agents there, you sell more homes. Potentially, obviously, depends on market conditions here, but you know that. Or if you even hire someone to manage your brand, does that marketing side of things to keep things consistent, maybe generates more leads because they picked your brand over the one down the end of the shops instead. Generates more leads, more sales of buyers, sellers, renters, investors. I'll leave you to think with that one. And if your house sales grow by that same statistic that agent I showed you did, 46%, or maybe more conservative at 10 to 15%, which is in line with typical business growth, wowza. And what that means is that increase has paid for your branding to begin with. It's paid it off. Because if you're using that $300,000 in that first year to invest into your branding for something like $30,000, and then you increase sales by 10%, there's your 30 grand. And you've potentially grown your team to be greater service providers to your local area to sell more houses and potentially free up your time as the business owner. And that brings me to number 3, your legacy. If you are establishing yourself as a name in your community and in your industry, having your own brand behind you will be walking the walk in your own shoes and with your own voice. You don't have to worry about appeasing a higher order and staying on brand for someone else's benefit, especially when they don't work with your customers, they don't work and know your market as well as you do, and they don't show their face in the community like you do. And you can use that platform that you are creating to be a thought leader and speaker. Maybe start a podcast, teach or mentor up and coming real estate agents holding your own banner. And if you are smart about using the profits that otherwise would have gone to corporate as a franchisee owner, you could use that to become your own franchise brand. You branch out and you spread your name far and wide to build that reputation over time, more and more and more. Not to mention if it becomes a family business, to leave that legacy behind so that your agency grows for the benefit of your family, for your team, for your community. So with these 3 things in mind that I've left you with, your brand, your team, your legacy, to build something that is yours, would your own agency brand be a brilliant idea today? And if it is, I'd certainly love to work with you and your team and maybe even your family to make that a reality tomorrow. You just need to say g'day today. There's some info down below in the description to get in contact. And then for more content about branding and design, down below, smash that subscribe button. Always wanted to say that. And until the next time, I will see you in the next one. Bye.